Northern Rivers Wildlife Carers has been part of the Northern Rivers community since 1992. So last year we celebrated our 20th year of operation. It's really a network of volunteers who are licensed to care for injured and orphaned native wildlife.
We got involved in wildlife caring quite some years ago, about 15 years ago we started, but life got busy with full-time work and so on, and so we didn't do much for a while. Just in the last 18 months we've decided to really get back into it, and we're incredibly passionate and doing it full-time now, and fitting in a bit of paid work around the wildlife caring. We see wildlife caring as something that really fits in with what we're doing on our property here. We do a lot of regeneration on the property, growing trees and other native vegetation, and so adding wildlife back into the environment is something that fits really well with that. And of course we just love animals as well. Okay, so this little guy's called Hessian. He was found in somebody's backyard. They had dogs, and the mother had obviously been caught in the yard and had been disturbed by the dogs and had thrown the little baby out of her pouch in her attempt to get away from the dogs. And so they had found him in the yard by himself. He had no fur, but he was just starting to get some fur. And they picked him up and put him in a Hessian bag, so we called him Hessian.
Mm-hmm. Wildlife caring is in our family. My mum was a wildlife carer, so it's somewhat contagious or hereditary, I'm not sure. But that was my beginnings, and when I moved here away from Grafton, became a member of Northern Rivers Wildlife Carers and never looked back, really.
We've always sort of been interested in animals. We just joined one year in 2005, but it just took us a while to get really involved. We got an email in like 2009 to say, help feed the bats at that release aviary at Bouillon when it was then, and then from there it just snowballed. So getting involved and just yeah, this is Zoo.
Zoolander.
He was actually found on our place.
We have everyone from all walks of life. Our area that we cover is one of the largest geographic areas in the state. So we cover from up at Brunswick Heads down to New Italy, and from Byron Bay in the east out to Tabulum in the west. So it's a huge area, and in that area we have all sorts of different people. People come with different ranges of expertise and skills and different availability and time, and within our organisation we can always find everyone a job.
When we have heat incidents we can get something, which is what they're having down in the south of the state right now. And I rescued 144 babies one day out at Kyogle, and then other rescuers went out the next day. So I actually was giving away to carers cages of 36 babies in a cage, telling them just get your neighbours in to help and just do it somehow.
One of our founding members, Robin Goff, when she first started getting into wildlife caring, she found an orphan flying fox pup on some power lines. Tried to get some help, but there was none around at the time. In fact, one of the local vets asked her why she would even be bothered. So from that point onwards, she decided to do things herself, and she's become one of the pioneers of flying fox rescue and rehabilitation.
He was very hard to raise because we didn't know how to do it, but we were able to get in touch with a wonderful group called the Ku-ring-gai Bat Colony coordinators, and we found out how to do it. So next year we had a couple of babies came through national parks, and we just got more and more. As we got more baddies, we needed heaps more carers, sometimes heaps and heaps more carers, and we put ads up with cute baby photos, and people just came to us. National parks helped us get people when they used to bring animals in. Lots of them would want to help, and we built up an organisation of 28 people And then National Park said, well, all these different groups are going to have to be coordinated underneath our umbrella so that they have some more organisation and rules and things, which is a great idea.
The Northern Rivers Wildlife Carers is one of a network of wildlife rehabilitation groups that exist in the Northern Rivers. So along with ourselves, the Northern Rivers Wildlife Carers, there's also Australian Seabird Rescue, Friends of the Koalas and Northern Rivers Wires. So between the four organisations, we work cooperatively to help as many injured and orphaned native wildlife as we can. We don't have a central location or a care centre, so all of the aspects of our group, from everything from the rescue, the rehabilitation, the release, and also our emergency hotline, are all run out of the members' houses. So it's a great volunteer effort in terms of getting our the core duties of our group done.
These are some lorikeets that have come into care from collisions with windows or cars.
One of the roles that I play in the group is as hotline coordinator. So we run a 24-hour hotline, a number that people can call when they find injured or orphaned animals. And I coordinate the team of really fantastic volunteers who work to man that phone line around the clock. I make sure we've always got someone really friendly there who's able to help you if you find something. You can call in and we're there to give you advice and help you know what to do with the creatures you find.
The most important thing, if anyone has the unfortunate situation to come across a native animal that's been injured or orphaned, the first thing that we always ask people to do is just to remember their own personal safety. It's really, really important that often when we find an animal that is injured or that is hurt, our heart goes out to them and we just want to get them, we just want to help them, but it's always good just to pause and just check the situation first before jumping in. As a result, we ask people never to handle snakes or flying foxes. But if you are able to safely contain an injured animal or an orphaned animal, we ask that you put them somewhere safe, somewhere contained that they're not going to escape again, and then ring our emergency hotline number. In terms of a suitable container, most of the time a cardboard box is a great thing to put an injured animal in. It's really safe contained. It's also dark. And one of the other most important aspects of rescuing any native animals is trying to limit stress. Unlike our domestic pets, native animals really do feel stress quite highly, and there are some species in our regions that will die from stress alone. So stresses are things like foreign sights, smells and sounds. So you can imagine for a possum, for instance, been living in the trees and doing what possums do, to come into a house with kids and dogs and cats and radios and TVs, does nothing but just freak them out. So putting them in a nice dark cardboard box in a nice quiet part of your house, and then ringing the hotline, and if there's anything else that you need to do, you'll be given that advice then on the phone.
So just one thing about the female flying foxes is that they can only have one baby a year, so if they do lose that baby, then that's it for them. And females don't mature till 3 years of age, whilst the boys actually mature at 2 years. So it is actually a long journey for them to increase their population.
They're propagators of the eucalypts. We wouldn't have our hardwood forests or any of the eucalypts without these guys, and that's why the eucalypts are those pale colours, silvery whites, and on the top of the trees. If we try to see if they're blooming, we can hardly see them peering up, but looking from the sky, we've got a couple of bat fathers who fly little planes, and they say, when you're flying at night like a bat, it's like huge acres of silver forest.
Without flying foxes, you would soon end up with no eucalypt trees. The flying foxes do for the eucalypts what bees do for the roses.
The adults in this next cage, they're all to do with human intervention. They're backyard netting, which is a terrible, terrible problem. That thrown over netting with large holes in it is an absolute trap. It's just a killing trap for flying foxes and birds, snakes, lizards. They're absolutely dreadful. And can I mention that Bunnings are still selling that type of netting? And we can't believe it after the work we've done with it. And anyone can come to us and we'll give them the right netting for free. So much of the barbed wire is completely unnecessary, not used, or plain wire would be better to put up in the first place. And so many animals die so horribly of that, even the ones we rescue, so few of them. This is like the tip of the iceberg.
Another really easy way members of the public can help injured and orphaned native animals is to keep an eye out for roadkill, particularly fresh roadkill, animals that have been recently died on the side of the road. Again, remembering your personal safety and never putting that in jeopardy. If it is safe to pull off the road, have a look at the animal, check whether or not it is deceased. If it is deceased, then it's time to move the body off the side of the road, because animals that are dead on the side or on the road only attract other species, such as predatory species. Once you have got the animal safely off the road, if it is a marsupial, so animals that have a pouch, it's then time to check and see whether or not there's any orphaned babies in the mother's pouch. If you can remove the babies, then safely do so, but if they are very small and attached, that's a really great time to ring the emergency hotline and get further advice on what to do there.
Very endearing, very hard to give up. Lots of carers who have them for the first time are in buckets of tears trying to leave them, and they come back and say, oh, where is she, where is she? And they're rushing in looking for their baby, and quite often the babies actually ignore them.
We run training courses for all of our members, and being trained is part of our licensing requirement with National Parks and Wildlife Service. So you have to maintain your training and stay up to date with the latest procedures and care treatments. We run regular training courses during the year, which members are encouraged to attend. So once you've done your training, once you have the suitable facilities at your house, then it's just a matter of waiting till an animal comes in, and then you can start caring for one at home.
For anyone who's thinking of getting into caring for wildlife, it's really great to know that there's so many different roles that you can play in the group. So we are fortunate in the position where we can care for wildlife full time, and I do a lot of the animals that need feeds 5 or 6 times a day and through the night, just because of the lifestyle I'm in at the moment. But there's roles for all sorts of people, and people who work full time, there's always a role transporting, helping out, and there's animals that you can care for that just need feeds once or twice a day.
It's just very rewarding to see that animal that you've helped rehabilitate get back out there in the wild. So it doesn't have to be really time consuming, but just every little bit helps.
We are always on the lookout for future and potential wildlife carers, and it's a great way of giving something back. I think a lot of our members enjoy being a wildlife carer because it is a way of thinking and feeling and doing stuff for things other than yourself and other than other human beings, and being aware of the environment that you're in, and just giving something back to creatures that don't have a voice and really do need our care.